Welcome to the Uncensored Self podcast. I am your host, Ryan Gillen, and this is a space where women who value achievement, success, accomplishment, and wealth, but also crave happiness, love, joy, and deep fulfillment come to remember that we get to have both. Not by doing more, but by being more of who we truly are. In this show, we explore identity, energy, alignment, and embodiment because you didn't come here to follow someone else's rules. You came to right your own. Let's dive in. I would not have called myself a people pleaser, not even close. I thought people pleasers were people who let the world walk all over them, people who didn't have enough self-respect to say no, people who were so afraid of conflict they just agreed with everything. And that was not me. I was direct, I had standards, I pushed back. I was not someone who took shit from anyone, unless they were paying me, unless I thought saying yes to something I didn't want to do was the price of getting somewhere I wanted to go, unless I believed that tolerating something completely out of alignment was just what ambitious women did to get ahead. I had standards in every area of my life, except the ones where money was involved. And I called it being professional. I called it knowing the game. I called it doing what it takes. And what I now know is that I was abandoning myself strategically, consistently, and very successfully. I'm Ryan Gillen. This is The Uncensored Self. And today we're talking about the difference between service and self-abandonment because they look identical from the outside, and one of them is costing you everything. So here's what I've learned. I didn't identify as a people pleaser, but I was shocked after working with dozens of women. And I am talking about, the top 5% of achievers that you can possibly think of, whether it is in income, in their recognition, in who they are, right? And many of them actually do identify as people pleasers. My coach, Stacey B, used to identify as a people pleaser. And we actually used to talk about it back in the day. And I was like, I am not a people pleaser. Like, I don't people please. But it was because, again, I thought people pleasing was only something you did in personal relationships. I thought it was weakness. I thought it was tolerating disrespect. I didn't know that it was this, because high achievers don't people please from weakness, because that's not what this is. This is people pleasing as a survival strategy, at least the way that you see it. Right? It might not feel like life or death survival as you listen to the show, but that's what it was. I have to do this thing. And there's a massive difference in those two things. Because again, the version that I pictured, I think the version a lot of people picture when you hear people pleaser is someone who lets the world walk all over them. Someone who doesn't respect themselves enough to say no. Someone who gives and gives and gives and never pushes back because they are afraid of conflict. And what I've learned about most high achievers is that's actually not true, because you are the type of people who push back. You do have standards. You don't take shit from anyone unless they're paying you, unless it somehow fits into your career, unless they have something that you want, unless saying yes to the thing you do not want to do feels like the price of admission to the thing that you're trying to get to. And that is strategic self-abandonment is what I'm calling it. Strategic self-abandonment. And here is what it sounds like. I will take this client even though every instinct in my body says no, because I just need the revenue. I don't know what's coming next in my pipeline. We have a gap. We can. Right? I have the ability to. I'll take this client, right? Strategic self-abandonment. I will say yes to this opportunity, even though it's completely misaligned, because I can't afford to say no right now. When you say no to referrals and you say no to opportunities and you say no to leads, you are setting yourself up for failure, right? I will let this person speak to me in a way I would never tolerate in any other area of my life because they cut the checks. I will keep performing the version of me that people hired, even though that version stopped feeling like me a long time ago, because I don't know who I am without her. That is not weakness, that's strategy. And the truth is, it's a strategy that worked for a very long time. A strategy that got you exactly where you are. And it is the reason why you feel the way that you feel, right? I used to say when I left corporate America, one of the things was I worked in marketing and advertising was primarily my corporate career. And basically, if the checks cleared, it didn't matter. Like, and we had clients, I worked in digital advertising. So we worked with automotive dealers, business to consumer. So car dealers, jewelry, like your traditional big advertisers. And we work with a lot of marketing agencies, and the people were just fucking mean and nasty. And we just had to let them be mean and nasty to us as long as the checks cleared. And I remember like leaving corporate America because I didn't want to do that anymore. I just started doing it in different ways, right? And I see this in my clients. Again, they will have a client who disrespects them or a boss who disrespects them, and they would never let somebody in their personal life treat them that way because they're their boss, because they're their client. That's okay. And that's not at all the way the energy game works, right? And anytime you tolerate disrespect, you actually put yourself as an energetic match to more disrespect. So again, when Stace started talking to me about people pleasing in her work when she was launching Soul Charge, I really just thought it wasn't for me because, like I said, weakness, lack of self-respect, personality flaw. And what I realized, and what I really hope you walk away from this episode understanding, is that my version of it was just more sophisticated, right? It wasn't letting, somebody disrespect me, and I don't even know what regard. But like I said, if they were paying, I kind of did sometimes. right? I didn't take shit from anyone unless I was like, okay, well, this guy's a real asshole, but if I'm nice to him and he likes me, he might introduce me to his colleagues, or he might, mention my name in the right room. So the specific version of it in my personal life versus my professional life versus my personal life, I had standards everywhere except for when money was involved. So maybe I wasn't a people pleaser. I was just a strategic self-abandoner. And like I said, the strategy works until it doesn't. And I think that this is so important. So the first kind of pause I want you to take, I know I don't typically give you pause and homework until later in our episodes, but I really want you to think about is, where am I people pleasing? Where am I self-abandoning? And your big, beautiful, smart brain is going to tell you that you are not. You are not. You are not. But you are. But you are. If you have a client or a boss or somebody in your life who doesn't treat you the way you desire to be treated, and you maintain that relationship, self-abandonment. If you have a friend who you don't really like very much, but they used to refer you a lot of business, they've done business with you before, they have a lot of money, and they invite you to parties you don't want to go to, and you only go because they might introduce you to the right people, even though you really don't want to go to that party, strategic self-abandonment. Right? I don't want to go out with this guy at all. I don't like him. He's not funny. He doesn't interest me. But all of my friends say he's a really great guy, so I'm going to go anyway because I just need to get myself out there. Strategic self-abandonment. And like most things, like I say, it works. It works. Becoming as small as you possibly can, being a doormat for other people's needs, being the professional shit shoveler will produce results. It will produce results, but those results come at a cost. And that is the point of this episode, is that if you don't yet realize what it is costing you, I hope that this episode illustrates that for you. Because here is the thing that nobody talks about in this conversation. Serving isn't the problem, because that's what some of you are thinking, like, Ryan, this is just my industry. This is just the way that it is. It's just service industry. Sometimes clients are assholes. Sometimes you're going to have a bad boss. Sometimes, you're going to run into somebody on a bad day. Like, sometimes this is just the way the cookie crumbles. And because I'm a service provider and this is the industry that I chose, I do not have a choice, right? This goes back to our golden handcuffs conversation we had last week, right? Right? But serving is not the problem. Being of service is not the problem. That's not what I'm proposing here. You shouldn't have people kissing your ass. And, that's not at all what I'm proposing here. The problem is, where is the service coming from? What is the energy behind the service? Remember, when we play the energy game, we realize that it's our energy that creates our results. So what energy is behind the service? Because what I learned is that servant leadership comes from overflow. I'm going to say that for you again. Servant leadership comes from overflow. You have all experienced this at some point in your life or in your career. Right? There was a leader, there was a coach, there was somebody who has touched your life in some capacity who you felt like was in the trenches with you. They wanted you to be better. They believed in you. They were genuinely in your corner, not because they needed something for you, but because they had something to give. That is leadership, right? And that is leadership from overflow. And that feels completely different from the alternative, because we have all also probably at some point in our career had a leader who we did not feel was in the trenches with us, somebody who just yelled at us and told us we were doing it wrong. They didn't want us to be better, because if we were better, we would be better than them. They were only in your corner because your performance somehow reflected something of them, right? They needed something from you, right? We've all had those experiences, right? What we're looking for here is, where is your service coming from? Because people pleasing comes from fear. So saying, well, I'm just accommodating this client is only true if you're doing it from overflow. But nobody works with assholes from overflow. Nobody gets treated like a doormat from overflow. Nobody says yes because when they want to say no from overflow. It is impossible. The two energies don't match, because the fear of people pleasing is, if I don't do this, you're not going to hire me. Whether hire me as your realtor, hire me as your marketing person, hire me as whatever you sell, hire me as an employee in your company. If I don't do what you want me to do, you won't hire me. That's not service. That's fear. If I don't do this, you won't respect me. Not service, fear. If I don't do this, I won't get the paycheck. Not service, fear. If I don't do this, I don't know where the next opportunity is coming from. If I don't say yes to this deal, to this opportunity, to this job, fear, 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 fear. And what happens when we make decisions from fear? We can only be met with one more fear, because universal law works 100% of the time. And the mind fuck here is that they look identical from the outside. The woman saying yes to everything. The woman who's always available, the woman who never pushes back, the woman who delivers no matter what, right? But on the inside, they feel completely different. One gives you energy, one depletes it. One builds something, and one slowly dismantles you. And it is a choice that you make every time you say yes to something you should say no to. There's a choice between those two things. You're choosing between overflow or fear. Abundance or fear, love, fear, you pick. Lately, it's been love and fear for me. Is this a love-based decision? Am I going out on this date with this person because I genuinely want to, because I'm excited to meet somebody new, because I really just enjoy getting to know new people? That is a love-based decision. Am I going on a date with this person because I haven't dated in a really long time and, you just got to kiss some frogs and this is just the way it is? Fear, right? Am I applying for jobs that I don't really want but are safe from overflow or from fear? And you're like, Ryan, how can a safe job be from overflow? Let me tell you, I had a client who did a Create 2026 session, which is one of my one-off sessions earlier this year. And he actually ultimately chose to get a job while he was building his business. But what we did in that Create 2026 session, and this is why my work is so powerful, is when we got on that call, he was getting that job out of fear of, I don't know how to grow my business. I don't know how quickly my business is going to grow. But when we left the conversation, he did decide to get the job, or to accept the job, but he accepted it from overflow. This job helps me create more capacity to do the things I want to do. That's why, like I said, the mind fuck here is that it looks the same. The guy took the job. And one might say, but he doesn't mean he has 100% faith in it. He doesn't have faith in his business. If he just believed his business was going to grow and he believed he was the creator of his reality, wouldn't he just say yes and not take the job at all? Maybe, but his belief system didn't support that. And we can't deliver on anything our belief system, aka our identity, doesn't support. His identity didn't support making the money he wanted to make 100% from entrepreneurship. So from service, from overflow, in service of the mission, in service of himself, he decided to get a job, because that job created the nervous system capacity he needed to build the business. That is making a decision, right? So you might say that's self-abandonment. You got a job when you want to be an entrepreneur. You're abandoning your dreams. No. Servant leadership is I pour from overflow. And right now, in order to get the overflow that I desire, in order to be an energetic match to the overflow I desire, I don't have the capacity to do that. So I'm going to go over here. So like I said, it gets really touchy because it looks the same from the outside, which is why this requires self-reflection. This requires capacity, right? Because what we don't realize when we're just going along is the cost of strategic self-abandonment, the cost of people-pleasing, the cost of whatever the fuck you want to call it, right? And I want to be clear, I'm not talking about the obvious cost, right? Because there is the obvious cost. Taking a job that you fucking hate, working for some asshole who you think doesn't respect you, you come home exhausted every single day, right? When you take on a client that you don't want to just because you need the paycheck, the resentment is a 10 out of 10, right? The feeling that your life belongs to everybody else and you have no time to yourself, right? You already know about those. You already know what it's costing you on the surface. I believe that to be true, or you wouldn't be here listening to this show. You know. The exhaustion, the resentment, the feeling like you have nothing to give, the short fuse, the constant irritation, the heaviness, the weight of the world on your shoulders. That is the obvious cost of self-abandonment and people-pleasing. But there is also a cost that you cannot see. And every time, and I coach my clients on this so fucking consistently, every time you say yes to a misaligned client, a misaligned opportunity, a misaligned relationship, a misaligned job, you are spending energy you cannot get back. And that spent energy is energy that cannot go toward what is actually aligned for you. So you think I'm saying yes to this misaligned client because I need a client. I need clients, Ryan. I'm trying to grow business. Businesses need revenue. This guy's got money. Let's fucking go. Right? Isn't that the point? Not if the energy that you pour into that client, working with that client, is going to have a very high energetic cost. Let's call it that, right? When I say yes to this misaligned opportunity because of the doors it might open and the referrals it might get me and the recognition it might get me, even though I don't want it, that energetic cost is ginormous. You're going to have to put a lot of energy into that. But because it's not aligned, it's not going to reciprocate in that same way. It's impossible, right? You can't be an energetic match to both. You can't be an energetic match to lack and abundance at the same time. The misaligned yes, take the shitty client, and the aligned yes, take only aligned clients. They cannot occupy the same space. You cannot vibrate at both frequencies at the same time to get real fucking esoteric for you. Right? We get really clear. One of the first things I have my clients do, especially in business therapy, but the first thing we do is we define the right fit client and who that actually is. Who is a right fit client? Or if somebody wants a new job, what is the right fit job? Or if somebody's like, I actually don't know. I'm like, cool, what's the right fit life? But we get clear on what we're available for first. We set the energetic standards, and then the work becomes simple. Every yes that meets those standards actually expands your capacity, and every yes that doesn't meet those standards shrinks it. So let me give you a real example. the client list, right? Like my number one thing on my client list is I say my clients are ready, right? My clients are ready to do the work. They're excited. They're all in. They see it. They know it. They're scared. They're terrifying because I dismantle belief systems, and that's scary for a lot of people, but they are so ready for a different experience of life. That is a belief system of mine, right? So when a client reaches out to me, books a call, winds up on one of my resets or winds up in one of my free workshops or all the different ways, and they're not ready to do the work. They want to use the work as a crystal, as a magic wand. I'm so honest about, like, that's how I wanted to use this work when I first learned about it. It was a magic wand. I just want this magic wand that's going to fix my problems, right? That client will show up and that client will pay me. But that client will cost me an immense amount of energy because they're not ready. They're looking for a magic wand. And the magic wand, it doesn't appear until you're ready, unfortunately, right? So if I say yes to clients looking for magic wands, I will make money and I will have a full roster of clients, but I will not be able to be an energetic match for the clients who are ready, for the clients who can get even better results faster, for the clients who might maybe be willing to pay more money or might stay for longer or might have different referrals. I don't know, right? I don't know. But when you say yes to the standards, I know it's capacity. And again, this is challenging. This is not easy. I never lie to you and tell you that I think the work that I do is easy, but it is very simple. Because the clients that you say yes to out of fear, they're not just costing you your peace. They're blocking the clients you actually want. You can't be an energetic match to asshole clients and call in dream clients at the same time. It is impossible. And here's the part that is hardest to hear. The people that are choosing you right now, the clients that you're working with, or maybe the job that you have, or the people you surround yourself with, do they respect you? Do they love you? Do they want you to be their best? Like, it's a lot of you know the answer to that. You have clients who speak to you in a way that you would never tolerate anywhere else. You have a boss, an employee, or a team member, or somebody who's just a dick to you, and you just let it be okay. You take it because you think you don't have a choice. And you do have a choice. You've just convinced yourself that you do not. But the cost, the opportunity cost of being in misalignment is why you feel like you are trapped by your success. Because you can't blast through the ceiling when you're an energetic match to misaligned clients. You can have a full roster of misaligned clients, but you will not be able to move past that because your energy, the capacity for your energy isn't there. Right? So when you say yes to the aligned clients, that's when you can take on, you didn't even know you could handle so many clients at one time. Right? And this is where people talk about ease. We often think of easy as not having to work. It's not true. My clients work their fucking asses off, if we're real honest. A lot of them too hard, myself included. But it's work that gives you energy. It's work that feels good. It's work that lights you up, which is why you can have 3 shitty clients and feel like the weight of the world on your shoulders. Right? You can feel that way. Or you can have 10 soul-aligned clients working more hours than you've ever worked, but having more energy and having better ideas and being more excited and making more money. Both of those things are true. Okay? But here is what I really need you to hear in this episode. Okay? The fear says, if I stop doing this, no one will want to work with me. No one will hire me. I will lose what I have built. And I have learned and seen in my own life and in the life of my clients, it is the exact motherfucking opposite. The clients and the opportunities and the relationships that are actually meant for you, they can't find you while you are filling every available space with the ones that are not, or with tasks that you fucking hate. Alignment is not available in the space that misalignment is occupying. I'm going to say that for you again. Alignment is not available in the space that misalignment is occupying. I've watched my clients stop saying yes to misaligned clients, and within weeks, sometimes days, attracting the ones they actually wanted. And not because they did something different in their marketing, but because they created capacity for it. They're not doing less business, they're doing more business, but their business, they actually like it, with clients they're obsessed with, and a career that's actually fulfilling. That's what's on the other side of this. Not less success, not less work, not less opportunities, more of it, but built on alignment instead of survival. You can do more from alignment than you can from burnout. But it starts with one decision. The decision that what you want matters, that your yes is worth something, that the version of you underneath this strategy has been waiting long enough. This is really, really important. It's one decision. Your wants matter. Your needs matter. Your dreams matter. I know that this is the exact opposite of what you have been taught your entire fucking career, right? Your entire career. It has been different. But this is the conversation that we are having on May 6th in the Radical Ambition Workshop. It is not the surface version. This is not the rah, you deserve better version, the real version, the one that looks at the specific ways you have been abandoning yourself in the name of success and asking the question you have been avoiding, which is, what do you actually fucking want? Not what do your clients need? Not what does your industry expect? Not what do the people depending on you require? What do you want? Because Radical Ambition, this workshop, it's built on one belief, that the most successful version of you is not the one who gives everyone else what they need at the expense of herself. It is the one who is so full, so aligned, so genuinely fucking lit up by what she is building that she gives the world her overflow. Imagine if you gave your career overflow, because right now you're giving it survival and you're still fucking winning. Imagine if you gave it overflow. That's the shift, and it's available to you. And on May 6th, we're going to go find it together. Radical Ambition, it is a free 2-hour live workshop for high-achieving women who are ready to stop editing what they want and start fucking building from it. It is linked in the show notes. It is linked in all my bios on social media. You can email me. You can call me. You can text message me. You can carrier pigeon me. Technology is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs these days. I will see you next week. And I pray that I see you on May 6th, because this conversation, like I said, I just scratched the surface of some of the things that it is costing you. But I want you to really sit with this question as I say goodbye today. Look at how much you have created by people pleasing, by self-abandoning. Can you imagine if you redirected the energy that you have spent on asshole clients, misaligned opportunities, deals that didn't pay enough, jobs you didn't like, boyfriends who didn't fucking matter, friends who didn't respect you? Could you imagine what you could have done with that energy? I can feel that. I'll see you on May 6th. Talk soon. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Uncensored Self podcast. If this conversation cracked something open for you, trust that that's the work. And share this episode with a woman in your life who's ready to stop performing and start creating. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe, leave a review. It helps this message reach the women who need it most. Remember, you're the creator. The rules are yours. And your uncensored self, she already knows what to do. Keep leading, keep listening, keep becoming.